Well, Roach just woke up. Max is low energy, and I'm sick. But we're all going to talk about DNC.
And that makes us a lot more energetic.
I'm not low energy. I just pumped myself up, okay? I pumped up the jam. I did have to change the melody in that because we would get copyright striked.
Pump up the jam. That's a very old song. Very old song.
Yeah. It's from Belgium from the 80, I think 83. Really? I'm pretty sure. I don't know, really.
Well, let's just hit that
Pump
intro.
it up a little more. Get the party going.
Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right. And let's get back to more club racing and less of this programming racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right.
You know? See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Go. $100 right here, $100 bill. Oh no!
I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's a glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to show number 310 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keno White, a.k.a. Lefty the Great. And joining me, well, we all know who Max is. Middleman Max. And of course, Cade, the Roach Man, who hasn't been on her for quite some time. Welcome back, Cade.
Thank you for having me back. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, but you've been busy. You've been doing some, we're going to have a quick catch up with you, but you've been doing some racing and all that type of stuff. And Max, from your quick wardrobe change, you just put on a different outer shirt.
You just put on a different outer shirt.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think they do it at the theater? Do you think they go and change their underwear? No, they keep the same underwear on. You know, you just change what's most present. I should have changed the cap, to be honest, but I mean, it's all the way across the other side of the house. So
there we go. But it is the Sunday before DNC. This podcast is going to be all about DNC. The Dirt Nitro Challenge that's coming up this weekend. But before we do that, we have to say some thanks to everybody out there. A big shout out to the NNRC squad around the world. Without you guys, we couldn't do this. We're going to be back doing some content here. I'm going to get back to doing Lefty Simple Thoughts and all that good stuff. And Max probably and I are going to have an argument or three at some point. JQ is going to also come back after DNC, so that should be good. And we'll have a chat with him. Shout out to the patrons of the NNRC as well as YouTube members. You guys wish to support the NNRC a little bit more. You can also support Cades. He's got a Patreon. He makes lots of great content over there at Roach RC. If you don't know who he is, support him. And a big shout out to our sponsors. They are J Concepts, High Tech RC, Sidewinder Fuels, Latera Racing, Invisible Speed, ML Toys, Side Piece Racing, Hot Race Tires, Elite RC Productions, RC Project, Mayako, Techno RC, Beach RC, Racecraft USA, and Clinic RC. And a big shout out to our drivers, Mr. David Ronnefalk, Robert Battier, Alexander Hagberg, Matty G, Pecco, Evening, Una Hotnan, and Mason Fuller. And Una's having a good weekend over there in Desert Classic, it looked like, too.
Desert Classic is going on right now.
It is going on right now while we're recording this.
Yeah, I think they're running the finals. 18 Horn, double TQ. Man's going to DNC next weekend.
Hot Races found something.
Yeah, this man is on fire. Yeah.
All right. Roach, real quick, because you haven't been on her for a while. What have you been up to?
Lots of racing and lots of editing, pretty much. I got a couple. Well, there is one thing that came up that I don't want to bring up exactly quite yet, but it's related to the Mayako back there. And other than that, I've just been brainstorming different video ideas, just trying to figure out what I want to do.
Now, have you just been racing at Loganville?
Just been Loganville. I was gonna race at Augusta yesterday, but things happen. Yeah, mostly just Loganville and the Barn RC complex or the Barn
Okay.
RC Raceway.
Well, those are two good tracks.
Yeah.
But you haven't done any out of state racing for a while.
Not quite yet, but I am going to. Well, it isn't stated, but it's North Georgia Shootout. I'm going to Wicked Weekend. I'm going to the Vintage Clash up at Hoosier.
Okay.
Depending on how that goes, I might go to the Nationals if I can, but I'm gonna get absolutely stopped.
The 8 scale nationals or 10 scale nationals?
10 scale Nationals.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's good, man. Have you ever been to Hoosier?
I have not. No.
You'll like it. It's an awesome track. Big track. Just like when I went to Trackside, it was amazing. Like how much they have in that place. Well, it's good to have you back on. Max is back on as well. He was just here with me recently. But like I said, this is all about the 2025 Dirt Nitro Challenge. It's like the Super Bowl. It's like the Daytona 500 of our sport/hobby. I forget how many years it's been going on, but it's got to been going on for. There's the Cade. That's why I had Cade. He's going to go Google that right now. It's got to be 25 now.
I think so. Yeah. Hang on, let me double check.
Of this in the interview class, I'm proud to say, Max was the savior here.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's gone, but I think there's been like different eras. There's been like the OG Hemet era, then there was the Arizona Fear Farm era, and now the California SoCal era, you know? So I think yeah, I don't know. I've never been to SoCal DNC. I only went once, last one at the I don't know, maybe it is me because I remember this. I went to Neo in 2017. Last time it was held at Harper Adams. I went to DNC in 2018. Last time it was held at Fear Farm. So maybe every time I go to a race, it ends up dying out. Because I also went to the last BT contest at Barco. So I don't know. Maybe do I have some bad aura for these big races?
Probably. But you are correct. It said 3 different phases or 3 different OG phases. I did get to race at Hemet once. Not race, but practice there. It was a very small, tricky track back in the day. But these are the magazines I was when I was coming up, and I read about races at Hemet and the DNC. I read about this in the magazines, and of course, as we've gotten into the internet age, we can all follow it and we can watch it. And I enjoy. People are surprised. They're like, Lefty, you're not going to DNC? No, not this year. I didn't go last year. I ain't going this year. Maybe I'll go next year. But I got a lot of stuff to do here at home, and I'm going to enjoy watching it at home because it's not an easy race to go to, and it's not cheap either.
Been going on since 2000, so 25 years.
Yeah, 25 years. That's cool. It's just grown into one of the most prestigious races in the world. I would say, like in the top 5, one of the top 5 races in the world, near the top 3, because in 8 scale, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, some people might argue if it might be a world championship DNC than like a nationals or Euros. Some people might argue with me on that, but DNC has just grown in the last 25 years to have that prestige. Max is like, yeah, I don't know, but I've heard top drivers say that. I'm just telling you.
The thing is with DNC is like it's a very tricky race. Like it's one of those races you get 2 rounds of practice, 3 rounds of qualifying if you're lucky with weather. And then the main is absolute chaos most of the time. So it's like an incredibly hard race to win. And you do need quite a bit of luck to win that race. But like if you just look at how stacked the field has been for the past, I'd say like 10 years now. Yeah, DNC definitely. Like after Worlds, after Neo Buggy back in the day, probably the race you want to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare that we get this amount of competition from Europe, and well, not just Europe, because people come from all over the world to race this too.
Yeah.
So
DNC is what I like to think that a lot of those people would say, "Oh, I wish that off-road was really off-road." Would be a Worlds at this point. I think DNC has turned into that because
how rough it
I
gets.
heard a lot of people how rough it gets. Yeah, because a lot of people are complaining, "Oh, it's not real off-road anymore." At like Thornhill or like a Redavon or something like that.
Yeah, I could hear what you say. I agree with you. That's real off-road.
I don't
that's
know.
old school off-road.
I kind of disagree because that's
Okay.
not even.
No,
like
I'm not making a statement. I'm just saying I'm parroting what other people have said.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I get that when people say that, but if you really look at what is OG off-road, like OG off-road, it's like, it's not that jumpy. It's more like you're just driving around like rallycross. Like if you look at the worlds in Europe back in the day that we had, sure, it's very California, West Coast America off-road. That's what it is. But even if you look at 2008 Worlds in Charlotte, it's nothing like, the DNC. And that was real off-road for sure. So I think, there's a bit of a difference. It's very West Coast off-roady, sure. But it's not really like what a European would consider a real off-road track. Because the way our off-road tracks was like really high speed, um, low jumps, but a lot of bumps and like that. This is like, I don't know how to describe it.
Well,
but
it's
like
similar.
supercross rough. That's really rough.
So it's similar. It's sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I get where you're coming from. It's similar to what Cage used to out on the East Coast compared to what this is. West Coast has its own style of racing, its own style of track. But I get what Cade's saying. He's saying all those people who said this, we need a real off-road track to determine a champion. Well, there you go. We have DNC because it gets rough. We haven't seen the track yet. I know Anthony Westergaard helped him out last year. If I hope Westergaard does a lot this year as well because that man built some beautiful tracks. Has anybody looked at the weather for this yet? How it's going to be?
I have not, but I can do that right now.
I will say this. I will say that Paris is probably one of the best venues for this track because you got everything there. You got a nice asphalt where you can, you're not pitting in mud and all that type of stuff. You're pitting on asphalt. If it rains and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, I'll never forget one Saturday I was just sitting off and it was beautiful. It was probably 75 degrees. It was beautiful outside. The sun was out. It was blue. It was people walking around, non-RC people walking around, watching the race and stopping at the pits. And that was probably one of my favorite, most beautiful experiences I've had in RC racing, just watching that. Because it was like surreal.
Yeah.
And then you see, like, so where you are now, where it is now, you see the mountains in the background, and it was just nice and blue. And I was just like, man, this is fucking awesome. I'm so glad I'm here and fucking at DNC. But then there's days when you're like, why the fuck am I here? Because it's raining, it's windy, and it's shit, and it's cold.
Speaking of which, it starts on Thursday, and it's supposed to rain like early or like midnight on Thursday.
Okay.
And then it'll be dry throughout. When I say midnight, I mean like the midnight of like Wednesday. But it's supposed to be dry throughout the rest of the weekend.
Okay,
so
awesome.
We're looking at like rain at like 8 a.m., 40%, and then just dry all the way through Sunday, and then it rains again on Monday.
What's the temperatures like, Kate?
Temperatures are going to be like 56
degrees Celsius.
Yeah, no. Oh, Celsius. Okay, yeah, Celsius. 56 degrees Fahrenheit on Thursday at high, 61 on Friday, 70 on Saturday, 73 on Sunday.
Beautiful days. Beautiful days.
Yeah. But Thursday is going to be sucky because it's supposed to be quite high winds. It says that it's likely going to rain, and it's I don't know what this is in Fahrenheit. I'm thinking this is like 50 in Fahrenheit. The
56.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be Thursday. Might be a shitty day. Thursday they might get started late.
Yeah.
They might get started late on Thursday if it depends on the rain. But it wouldn't be a DNC if it didn't rain. All right. I think we should start having a look at this race and who we think is going to do well. And yeah, let's have a quick geek out on all of this, and let's see what we can do. All right, so we all know that a lot of the Europeans come over here. Is this the first time Borok's come over? Because Barkan's not come, just Borok. I think this might be the first time that Borok's come to DNC.
Yeah. They went to Silver State before, but first time to. So Barkan's not going?
No, Barkan is not going. Just Borok.
Okay.
So Borok is going. Juan Carlos Canas is going. Ongaro is not going. This is like his third year in a row. He's not going. Boots will be going. Ronnefalk, Barufalo. I'm sure Barton is going. There's probably some other Europeans. Well, Yuna's going to be there too. Pecco's going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what Yuna does, to be honest.
You know what I have to say here?
Are we gonna brag already?
No. I race against Joona and Pekka in conditions like this in Finland, and they're not
They
going
can't
to do
handle
that
it.
well. No.
Okay, so they're not OG off-road guys. They're smooth guys.
No.
They
Like
just lived in that
West
Thornhill
Coast
would have been
off-road
better.
guy.
yeah, like when it's bumpy, I usually beat or at least can compete with Joona and Pekka.
Got you.
But when it's like high speed, flat, modern 8 scale, then that's when they're fast. Like at the Worlds, Joona was really fast.
Okay.
So I'm not expecting much from either of them, to be honest.
Okay. And then, of course, we have Joao Figueiredo, who's been here many times. That's the Europeans. Let's look at some of the... We're going to go back and have a look at all these people individually.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Americans. Obviously, I think Dakotah Phend is the favorite going into this out of the Americans. Ryan Maifield, second. Ryan Lutz is my dark horse. We'll get into that. I'm getting excited. Ryan Lutz, Spencer Rifkin, Mason Fuller, Seth Van Dalen. Then you have like Brandon Rose, Frankie Contreras, Aiden Horn. You haven't heard. Aiden did make the A final last year. So
he did, yeah. He did.
Yes, he did.
All right. So we just ran through this. Where do you want to start? Do you want to go like European, do all the Europeans and then do the Americans?
I think when when you win like the World Cup or whatever, I don't know if you work the World Cup, but like some things that if you win it, you get to be the home like favorite, or like you get to do it at home the next year. World Cup doesn't work like that, but some events work like if you win it, you get to keep it at home the next time. So Europeans won it last time. So should we start with the Europeans?
All right. So let's start with the Europeans. First up is Burak Kilik, who is now fully into fully doing RC now. It's his job. That's what he's doing. That's why Barkan hasn't gone. He looked very good at Montpellier. He looked very good at AMS. He's been looking a lot stronger. And he almost had a Montpellier win over the Italians.
Yeah.
Over everybody there to 5 minutes left to go. He has
flame out, or did something else happen?
We're gonna get into the cons of his program. That's gonna be next. He does have the back end of Drake because it's Mugen. He's gonna be out there, so Drake's gonna have him on par. I know he's on seismic tires, but I'm pretty sure he can run. He's fluent with the tires.
Well, let's put it.
I assume, quote unquote,
way, at the Worlds. I mean,
I'm pretty sure at AMS he was fluent as well. So he's fluent.
When he wants to.
Let's say they're developing their tires. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Cade, as an American, this man impressed most people at AMS. People were impressed with Burak, how he drove, how aggressive he was, how he attacked the track. And Lucas said he drove that car like he stole it. You follow the Europeans. What do you think about Burak coming over to DNC for the first time?
For the first time, I think Burak, well, he's done like East Coast style tracks at this point.
He
Silver State and AMS.
Oh yeah, he has done Silver State. Yeah. So I think he's more prepared than he was before.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I'm worried about is his driving style isn't really conducive to fuel mileage, and I feel like this is going to be a real, not just decider, but running theme going through this entire list. Because, well, I'll spoil it right now. Everyone else is going to be doing like 9-10 minute pass, like what's this called? Pit stops. I don't think Burak can.
Yeah, and we know one person that can do 10 minutes, no problem.
Yes.
So
and we'll get to him in a little bit.
So yeah, that will be his issue. And let's talk about that. He's on the Nova engines, and I see that the people from Nova are going over to DNC as well. I saw that on Facebook. I mean, we have to question this. We have to. It probably, Max, we know the people that have used this engine have not. I mean, Tebow seems to be using it successfully now, but we saw Lee Setzer have it. We saw Wiggins have it. They both went back to OS. I mean, Tebow's using it now. I'm sure the engine quality is going to be better, but was it not engine issues that cost Burak the win at Montpellier?
Well, that's something I do not know. He definitely flamed out. They brought him back to the pits, and then he broke his car.
Okay.
I do not know if he had some kind of electrical failure and they thought he was flamed out. They brought it pitch, went out. I mean, I don't know. I haven't specifically asked about this, but either it was a flame out or an electrical issue. But he did crash the car quite hard after he got put back on track. So it could just be
Okay.
that the engine flamed out, he crashed it, and that's why he broke. Or it could be that it was broken beforehand. One thing I do want to say in the defense of Nova is that I do think that the Europeans are more prone to running that engine, like, well. And I think it's because, like, sure, Nova was a thing in America back in the day, but, like, most of these guys, Burak included, grew up running a Nova Rossi engine. You know, same thing with Robert Battier, same thing with a lot of these guys. Nova Rossi was the big brand in Europe for a long time. And there's a specific way you tune it. It's not very drivable. It has good mileage. And if you want to increase drivability, you risk a flame out. So most of the time, these top guys, they wouldn't flame out, but they would be a horrible thing to drive. So it's a balance. And I think the issue with the American market is that due to not understanding the history of Italian engine tuning, they tuned it in the way where it felt like an OS, but then it flamed out.
Yeah,
And I
but these
think
things
that
were
is the issue.
grenading. These things were grenading and shit was breaking. So we don't know what happened to Burak, but I think we can conclusively agree as a panel here that the weak point for Burak will be fuel mileage, and we question Nova. Can we agree on that? We do have questions about that.
I think, yeah, Nova's an unproven. Nova's like an unknown. And the way that, yeah, like you said, the way that Burak drives, it's just like, there is no fuel mileage. I need to come in at 7 minutes.
So, Max, in
But
your
I
opinion,
do want to say that his mileage most likely is better now than it was last year. Because
Okay.
OS notoriously does not have great mileage unless you make it have great mileage, like Phend does. But Nova, like, inherently has decent mileage. At least the old ones, I don't know how much they've changed. But so I do think he's better on that than he was before. But I think now the issue is, like, how reliable is the thing?
That's what my thing's on reliability. So let's put it this way: where does Burak finish? Is making him A insufficient for Burak?
I'd say so.
Should he be?
I
He's
think,
good enough to do it. And like in qualifying, the mileage isn't going to matter.
Yeah, but what would be a good finish for Burak in your opinion? Could he win it?
I'm not sure. I think there's a couple other people who are more likely to win than Burak, but I'd say him making like the top, let's say top 8 would be a good way to put him, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Top 8.
Yeah,
Top 8. All right.
I agree with that. I think top 8 is like, that's something that, like, yeah, he did all right. But the issue with Burak, I think, more than any of the things that we said before, is that I think, like, bumpy track racing is not like his thing. Like, that's not where
I
he
was just thinking
shines.
that.
Because I've seen him run on bumpier tracks in Europe. I mean, sometimes he can be fast because he way overdrives and he gets lucky. But Barufalo, for example, like, he's the type of guy who, yes, he overdrives, but he somehow keeps it under control even though it's bumpy. So I would much more trust in someone like Barufalo than Burak. But I did want to point him out on this list because I'd argue he is one of the hottest guys right now
I would agree with you.
in terms of past results. So
I would agree with you. Well, let's move on to who I think is the collectively best 180 driver in the world at the moment, Juan Carlos Canas Carrasco. He has had an exceptional 2024, and he started off his 2025 campaign really good with a winner at Montpellier. I believe he won e-buggy at this race. Maybe I can't remember.
he won.
He won e-buggy at this race last year, and then he broke in the final. And when I was talking to him, he seemed, out of all these guys, there's 2 people that I think can go anywhere win, and it's Dakotah Phend and him. And I have to give the edge to Canas because he's out-edged Phend both times. When I went back and watched the Silver State race, and I watched the AMS race, and how he negated that fuel stop by just driving a perfect race and not making any mistakes. If he can do that at fucking DNC, he's gonna fucking win.
Yeah.
So, and he also has the J Concepts rubber, which is going to be good for him as well there in the USA. So I honestly have Canas going in as my favorite to win this. That's what I'm picking to win this.
Yeah.
who you're
Yeah.
going with? I'd say, honestly, yeah, because I just realized he's on, like you said, he's on J Concepts rubber, and that's like the one big thing that Americans have over Europeans at American tracks is that they have J Concept rubber. JC3 has J Concept rubber. He's been on a roll since 2024. He is the favorite to win at this point because I'd say all around, like you said, he's probably one of the best, if not the best, 8-skill driver in the world. Like by far.
Yeah, I have him as number one right now. Even though Ongaro is the world champion, I think that Canas is the best driver at the moment. He's put in the most work. Max, do you agree with us, or you just like, yeah, these guys have got it?
I don't know. I think. I mean, I do agree. One thing I do have to say about Canas is that he's never looked comfortable at this race. Sure, he did really well at Silver State, so it could be setup related that he figured out the setup for a bumpy track, American style bumpy track at Silver State, and since then he's been fine. But like anytime he's gone to this race, it's never looked like, oh, Canas has got it. So he's definitely gonna come into this race as a bit of a question mark. But then when you look at his 2024, like how versatile he is, I'd still say Ongaro is like when we go to Europe, he's the man to beat. But if Ongaro would come here, every single time I put Canas in front of him because I think Canas is just more versatile. But I think Ongaro has the higher peak when he has everything together. He just needs that time to put it together, have the right setup, have the right tires, so on. But yeah, I mean, I can't really argue. I think of the Europeans, at the very least, Canas is the number one favorite going in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ongaro is not going. Last time he was there in 2022, so unfortunate. But I know he's not the biggest fan of this race, and it's a hard race, right? But I think he needs to come to some American races. So we'll see what he decides to come to. So let's move on to Elliot Boots, who won this race last year. So Elliot Boots is one of those few Europeans who have won Silver State. He's won DNC. He's won 2 major races in the USA. I do not have Boots, my favorite, to win this last year, but he absolutely not. But you did, I think, right, Max? Did you pick him?
I don't think I picked him last year. I mean, I can go back on the notes, but I definitely didn't pick him.
But he TQ'd and won last year. Do you think Boots can do it again?
No.
I mean, he got. I'm going to go the opposite direction of Max. I think he can, but I don't think he's going to win. I think he's going to make top 5.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like
really.
It's not just the fact he did win last year, but recently he hasn't been. I haven't heard his name basically recently as much, and he didn't have the strongest run in Montpellier. So if we're going off of like his most recent like runs, he hasn't been on top of the ball. So him winning DNC would be completely out of left field for me.
I was completely out of left field last year too.
Yeah,
it was.
That's the thing.
It was.
But
I'm not sure. I was gonna say, again, spoiler for later, I was gonna say Ryan Lutz was my dark horse. I'd say Elliot Boots is my dark horse.
Really? Okay. We'll recircle to that.
Let me throw in something here because before we talked about JC3 being on J Concepts, sure, it's a benefit, but if you look at the past few years, Ronnefalk won on J Concept on Hot Race in 2020. He won the e-buggy in 2022 in Hot Race. Boots won Hot Race tires last year. Sure, J Concept is probably the most dominant tire when it comes to the East Coast, but is it really the best tire at DNC? I'm not sure that it is. I think Hot Race at this race has proven to be probably even better than J Concept. And I think to some extent, last year, the success of Boots and David was to them being the top Hot Race guys there at this race.
That is good points, Max.
Yeah.
Very good
And
points.
and to continue on this, like if we look at Boots' past races, he was on pace at Boggyland, he was on pace at Rich GP, he was second at the Worlds. Sure. When it comes to this new age European racing, Boots is not the guy. You know, it's gonna sound blunt, but he's definitely of an older generation than Canas and Ongaro. They drive with more intensity, they drive with more risk, but still maintaining maximum amount of grip the whole time. Whereas Boots is a bit more all over the place. And these European style races, he's not gonna be that's not gonna be the best for him. He is notoriously always performed better when it's a little bit bumpy. Sure, he won at Red One in 2016, but it took Ronnefalk, it took Batya to DNF from the race before
Yep,
Boots could
yep.
win. But the year before that at Italy, that was really bumpy. He won it. He TQ'd the Worlds in Argentina. That was bumpy. In 2016, he was right there in the contention for the TQ in Vegas. That was really bumpy.
So
He's
why
won
don't you
silver
think he
state.
could win at DNC?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like,
So if you have all this,
you're playing him up to be a really good bumpy track like negotiator, and you still don't have him getting at least the top 5.
Well, no, I didn't say that he's not going to get a top 5, but here's where it comes. He's going to have that same run as he had last year. And having that sort of a miracle TQ win run, that's going to be really, really tough. And if we look at his past DNC results, he has an 11th, a 15th, and a win. So, like, there is a reason why he won last year, but it's not very clear cut that he's gonna be there again. And one reason, again, why he maybe suffers a bit in Europe is the Matrix is actually better at some races at this point. Sismic is better at some races at this point. That's also why he is a bit on the left field. But when he performs, But I think if he does it twice in a row, that would be really impressive. But he's definitely
Really?
gonna be in the fight. Yeah.
So I think he could win it again because for all the reasons that you said, he likes these. He's one of those Europeans that likes to offer bumpy tracks, one-off tracks like this. But to do it twice in a row is not easy. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We shall see. And the hot race tires have been very good there as well. And I have to agree with you on your analysis of the European tire market as well. All right, I think we're gonna go about with David Ronnefalk because I think these are the 4 or 5 main guys that can win this. Ronnefalk came second last year in his new ride on the first big race on the X-Ray. He runs whatever tire he wants, which is also a great thing for him. And he's won this race a few times. He got a 15th in 2019, the first in 2020, a 5th in 2022, a 39th in 2023. Ooh, that was a bad year.
Yeah.
And a second in 2024. And he won this, I think, twice before, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's won Pro Nitro Buggy twice. 3 times.
2018, 2020, he's won at least. But I don't know if other times.
I'm sure
Not
somebody
sure.
will correct us. The big
Yeah.
question is, this
What
is
did you- what-
definitely this is definitely Ronnefalk's
Are you now
specialty.
Are you coming now to my question, which you skipped on the notes?
Oh, sorry. When was the last time Ronnefalk raced 8 scale? Good question.
Yeah.
Good
When
question.
did he? How much does he actually race 8 scale this
He's
year?
been doing a lot of touring car, a lot of 10 scale.
Yeah. And when was the last time he raced 8 scale and looked like he was totally in control of his program?
At this race?
Well, did it look like it? You remember our post race?
Yeah, our analysis. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to see a really good video of that analysis, we have it there set up. JQ did a good job of it. All right. I think he could win this. But
I
the
think he
question
can.
about
I think he can, but
because this is like Ronnefalk's specialty.
yeah,
right?
it is.
This is This is what he lives for. This is where he's made some of his biggest names. It made his name really big. I think he could still win it. I think he needs to win it.
For sure.
I think he
Yes,
needs.
I
I
agree
think
with
he
that.
needs to win it. I'll be
He
honest
needs
with you.
to.
Yeah, I think he needs to win. All right, give me guys' thoughts, and then we'll move on.
Ronnefalk always surprises me because the last time I said he wouldn't make the last time I said he wouldn't do well was at the Worlds analysis, and he made the main easily. So I'm like, I'm gonna say he's not gonna make it just so he can make it.
Give some reverse psychology on him.
Yeah,
He'll make the final.
Yeah, he'll definitely make the final. But the thing about David is it's really up to how it starts out. And I think this is somewhat true to Boots as well. Like, both of these guys, they like these conditions. If they're comfortable in these conditions, they'll do well. They have different issues, though. Ronnefalk's issue is that he's definitely not in tune with his 8-scale package. Only because he doesn't race that much 8-scale anymore. Not as much as he used to back in the days where he was dominating, with HB or at the beginning at Mayako, where he was actually practicing, doing everything he can to be competitive with that. And that's when he wins. He doesn't do that much practice, doesn't do that much preparation anymore. And yeah, you can see it. You can see the way he drives. He makes a lot of mistakes. He cannot be consistent. He's sometimes shows what he's capable of, and sometimes he's lost. And that is what happens when you don't practice as much. So I think that's a big issue for David. And coming back to Boots, just to end the point, he has a similar issue, but it's because of other reasons. I think Boots' issue is that he needs a lot of trust. Like, when it starts to go well, it goes really well for Boots. Like, if he qualifies bad, he's definitely not going to win. If he TQs, yeah, maybe he can win. That's kind of what I feel Boots. Whereas David is kind of like, if he wakes up on a good foot, he's going to be fast. If he doesn't, then, unlucky for him, he's not gonna. And just like at the US, barely scraping into the main in two-wheel drive, made fought for the win in four-wheel drive, and then some other race, he's nowhere to be seen. It's how it is, and I think it's really hard to pick Ronnefalk to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it on the podium like he did last year.
Yeah, I agree with that whole synopsis you just said, Max.
Yeah.
I actually do 100% agree with you. I think he's spread too thin now.
Exactly, yeah.
And he just over in Thailand, coming back over here. It's a quick turnaround. All that travel, wear and tear on you. Wear and tear.
Yeah.
That's a lot of travel. Thailand, back to Sweden over to LA.
Mr. Worldwide Ronnefalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We got Barufalo in the Kyosho. We got Burton and Joao Figueiredo in the Techno. I see all three of these guys making the main. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Can I say something about Kyosho specifically?
Sure.
Kyosho came out or is coming out with that new, what was it? The KPI arms? Not the arms, the hubs.
C hubs.
The ones that Renault was using at the Worlds?
Yes. And whether or not they use them here, I'm not sure, but I could see. Wasn't Barufalo the one who won Silver State at one point?
He did, but on Techno.
On Techno, okay.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, that kind of invalidates my point, but I think that. Oh yeah, another thing. Techno is coming out with something similar as well.
Yeah, I heard Ryan Mayfield's got something new on his car.
He does, and I think it's those KPI C hubs. And
so tell us a little bit more about that.
We have it on the notes too, so we can talk
Is
about
it under the notes?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
we can
somewhere.
talk about it when it comes to Maifield. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it when it comes to Maifield. So, Kyosho, you think that KPI is going to help them out? I'm sure they've been running it all this time.
They've been running it a lot, and I think it'll help them a lot. I think I'm not sure if it'll help them win, but I think it'll help them a lot.
I think this is going to be the biggest Kyosho team DNC seen in a long time.
Definitely, yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, and I think, well, Lots, he TQ'd around last year. He TQ'd at SIC. And then when you look at Barufalo, he won at Silver State 2 years back. He's always been strong. When he was with Techno, he was always strong at DNC.
Mm-hmm.
TQing rounds in Ivagi and whatnot. So that sort of Kyosho is proven to be okay at DNC, at least work on the hands of Lutz. I know for a fact Barufalo can drive faster than Lutz and keep it better on his wheels than Lutz, as long as he keeps his mind together. So
That's the big issue with Barufalo.
we could be walking into Barufalo like wipeout in some of these qualifiers, and that's like that's why I put him on here, because sure, he had a tough Montpellier. He's very off and on. But if they nail the setup early on, he's gonna be a machine on this track. Yeah.
You know what? Also, Barton on those Matrix tires. You think he'll be fluid like other drivers?
Well, that was my sort of thing. That Berton made the main with Infinity last year, but now he's on those Matrix tires, and we know what happened last time when driver went to DNC with Matrix tires. They finished
hopefully it's better than
39th.
that.
Yeah, so I hope
Hopefully
it's better than that. So
It went incorrect, if you don't know.
It went incorrectly. I remember, I was there.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing, that why I'm hyping up Barufalo, because he's in Hot Race Rubber, he's on Kyosho, and why I'm kind of hesitant to say how Berton will do. But I have really big hopes for Barufalo. I think Joao will be in the main, but I don't see him at the very tippy top. I don't know. I don't really know what it is with him, because he was really good at this race when he was running Kyosho, but then now that he's moved to Techno, he's definitely had a tougher time.
No, we'll see. We need to see where he finished last year. I think he had a good result last year. All right, let's get to the Americans. And I think the favorite going into this, he's currently at the Desert Classic, making the switch over to X-Ray, is Dakotah Phend. He won SIC handedly. He went up to this same track for the Anthony Westergaard Factory Tracks race, which had a few top guys there. He won that.
Mayfield and Rivkin at least with that.
Yeah, he Ronnefalk finished second last year with the X-Ray. Phend finished third. I don't think he's ever won a DNC.
No, he has 2 seconds, 1/3, and 2/4.
There you go. He's come close.
Remember when I said I think it was it was the World's analysis, when I said the word specifically, and I quote, Phend only wins when it doesn't matter.
You did.
You pissed
And
off
you
a lot of
pissed
people with
off.
that.
Yeah, you pissed off people.
I did, and I think that curse is going to get broken.
I see no reason why he can't win this.
Yeah.
As
long as
the only reason he doesn't win this, look, he's got the best run time.
He got the best run time. He's got good tires,
good car.
He's got a good team. He's got everything he needs. If he does not win, I will drink my own pepper spray.
No, don't say something like that. He's definitely not gonna win. I'm not picking him for the win. Take it back, Roach.
I wouldn't be surprised. Look, out of the Americans, out of all these guys, I still think JC3 and this guy are the top two. And Phend has everything going for him. Okay, he's still on a new car to an extent. But I think if Phend doesn't win, it's not good. It's like he needs to win this. He doesn't need to win it. I should rephrase that. He has to win this year.
He just needs.
But he would want to win this.
He wants to win it really badly, because again, at the world stage, something has always gone wrong. Is what I meant.
Got you. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Especially on a world stage. He did the exact same thing that he did in 2022.
And also in not 8 scale, but 2019, he had the world championship in his hands in 4-wheel drive, and then he flipped. And that's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out is that I put it on the notes that he's so far gone undefeated with an X-Ray in 8 scale. So this is going to be the first race where that win streak could be cut. Or if he wins, it's going to be quite incredible start for him with an X-Ray.
If Phend wins, is he the best right now?
No. I think he's still not the best in the world.
Yes.
He finished 13th at the Worlds. How can he be your best in the world?
Because he was on TMR.
Don't say it out loud, dude.
What was
yeah,
that?
but
What was
I just
that? What was that in the intro again? We speak our minds.
Yeah, there
oh
you
yeah.
go. Send it
Yeah,
to you're the only one that lives in the USA of us, so cease or desist on your way.
I know.
So I just look at the NSX race that was held at the Dirt. Mayfield unfortunately broke at the very beginning, but it was a 20-minute main, and Dakotah smoked the field by 20 seconds. He lapped until to like 15, 20 minutes. Now, Frankie, Camden, and Rivkin were on the same lap. His top 5 average was half a second better. Oh no, sorry, yeah, top 5 and top 10 and top 15, everything half a second better than anyone else. Oh, sorry. Actually, Camden was really fast here. Sorry, but anyone faster at least than Rivkin. So he definitely goes in with a lot of confidence. Goes in with good results behind his back. But I wouldn't say like even if he wins this race, that doesn't yet put him like the best in the world. Definitely the best in America. I think he's already the best in America. But like Canas and Ongaro, definitely more proven. If you look at the whole of 2024. But it could change. Maybe X-Ray works out better for him than TLR. Maybe we actually get to see a fight about that. We talked about this with you, Keenan, on our first show of the year together. That could this be the moment where Phend actually becomes unbeatable? And I think this
Could
is the
be.
defining race for that. If he finishes in the top 3, he's on a good track. If he absolutely suffers at this race, it's going to be a bit more iffy. If he wins, it's going to look really good for him. But I think it's too early to say anything definitive yet.
So you think anything but a top 3 is good for him? So if he doesn't get a top 3, then it's a wash.
I think if he doesn't finish in the top 3, it's like it's not terrible, but it's definitely a negative result for him.
All right. Well, that depends if he DNFs or anything like that.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he finishes the race with no issues and he's like 4th,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be like, that was a bad race for Phend.
Got you. I got
You
you.
probably think
Yeah.
that too, honestly.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, but we're all conclusive. We all agree that Phend is the best American right now that there is.
Oh yeah.
Right out
By
there.
far.
Okay,
By far.
by far. You have him that so much far. Let's move into the Maifield, who has not had his strongest year after winning the Raw Nats last year. He's been ebb and flow, like hot and cold. He's hot and cold. Yes, he's won a few of these. He won the FTC race last week, but when it caught, he lost
was
to Lutz
against
last year. He lost to Lutz last year at the Mugen Challenge.
Yeah.
He had a tough Worlds. He was 6th at AMS. He made it up to 3rd at SIC. We're used to seeing like Maifield dominate this type of stuff.
Yeah.
He's winning at these smaller races, the TNR race, FTC race. But I think he's just kind of no pressure.
I mean, the competition is not the same. Like saying,
Yeah.
sure, he won at the TNR challenge or the Amen challenge, whatever it's called, and he won at FTC. Sure, it's a solid result. But let's be honest, like he's on his home turf on both of these events. These are the races he goes to all year round. And the toughest competition, well, yeah, at the TNR, Lutz was there, but he absolutely shit the bed. So, like, the next best competition was Rivkin, and it's a 10 scale Worlds here. And then when you go to FTC, it's Mason Fuller from his winter break. I mean, I doubt he's been running 8 scale much over the winter because I believe he lives quite high up north. So, like, yeah, there's no competition for him at these races. So, winning this should be, easy for him. Like you said, so
Thing is, though,
yeah,
he has won a lot of DNC
Mhm.
in 2 years. The
that's true.
The only ones he didn't win was 2020 and 2024. 2019 first, 2021 first, 2022 first, 2023 first. It was like clockwork. So this is a race he usually, at least in recent history, has won usually.
Yeah,
I would have to
yeah.
But like you said, I don't think he's on top form right now.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question here because Phend is the opposite. He's on incredible form. Like he's been winning most of the American races for the past year. Sure, he had a tough Worlds, but he was still the top American at the Worlds.
Yeah.
And then he goes into this year winning every race he attends in 8 scale. But DNC is not his bread and butter. Whereas Mayfield's the polar opposite. That's really tough bad time, and DNC is his thing. So if you look at it on paper, you could be like, okay, these guys are on the same line. It could be either one of these. But I'm still gonna say that Phend is much, much more likely to perform better of these two.
Wow. So I think Mayfield's going to win truck because he won it last year.
He's going to win truck. That's just
I think
I don't
that's a given.
I don't know. It's been a weird year. I mean, Mayfield won more 8 scale races than Phend last year. Big races. He beat Phend more times at 8 scale.
Beginning of the year. Yeah, beginning of the year he was good.
Because Phend won, I think he won PNB, Wicked Weekend, sorry. I don't know, it's been ebb and flow with Mayfield, right? The Technos are supposed to be good on the rough track, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with them. And don't get me wrong, I think he can win this. He's also in that group of guys I think that can win this. I think he needs to win it. I think he's won it before, but I think he wants to, and because people are going to be talking about it if he doesn't. I mean, people are talking about it now, so people are going to be talking more if he doesn't win it. So I think he needs to win it to silence people for a second. To say, hey, I'm still the Mayfield. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I can still win races. You know?
Yeah.
All right. Let's
people
move
like like us here.
Yeah. People like us.
Before you go ahead, let's now talk about the KPI. So I haven't actually heard anything, but except that he has something new.
That's all I heard too.
I jokingly put on the notes that he had a chat with Joseph after the Worlds. Now they have some new parts. So, but I don't know what parts these are. Did you have some like insider info, Roach?
I'm trying to bring it up right now. Hang on. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, because I think Mayfield knows what he would like to try, but I think the techno side guys, they don't like the way Mayfield would take the car. There was things that Mayfield did at the very beginning. You remember when he won the AMS in 2023, when he won that AMS with those new shock towers, a lot of like updated stuff. And then like at the Worlds, if you were at the pits, at the techno pits, or listen to Mayfield here and there, definitely not very pleased. Definitely not very pleased. So I think they have made a new they've reached some kind of understanding for this year, and they are definitely going to do things with the car to try to bring it up to what Mayfield would like it, that would still please techno. But there was a lot of kerfuffle at the techno pits at the World.
They were not happy. Mayfield was not happy.
Yeah.
Did you find it, Roach?
I found a screenshot of the actual like post about it, or the conversation that my friend had. These 3-degree incline spindles. These spindles are the same axle head as the current 2.2, but have a 3 degrees of kingpin inclination. They give a smoother initial steering feel while adding a bit more steering mid-exit of the corner. When installing these, you don't have to adjust any camber or toe. Just move your upper arm link or upper camber link out one position in the caster block from where you run the stock spindles. I prefer using these in all conditions.
Who prefers, Wiggins or Mayfield?
I think it was Wiggins, yeah.
Yeah. 3 degrees is not a lot. It's how would I say? It's not a very significant change to the handling of the car. I've tried very small amounts, very high amounts, and a little bit in between. Personally, I'm kind of the school of thought that you go all in or you go nothing, you know? And I think the all in is kind of the better one. And then you can fine tune it. But this 3 degree stuff, I don't know. Not a huge fan, but I mean, looking at the techno car, sure, most likely it's going to be better for them. I'm not arguing with that, but is that like the end all be all? Is it going to solve all of their problems? Definitely not. But could it be something that Mayfield needs to do well? Maybe.
We will see. We will see. I have no doubt that he can win this. But
Yeah.
you know, out of those guys that we were talking about, he's on the lower edge of that list. He's in the lowest tier of that list, and that's not how it usually is with Maifield. Don't get me wrong. I still think he can win this, but yeah. Let's go on to our next dry racer, who I think is my dark horse. Not to win, but I mean, anything's possible. But I think a top 3 or a top 5 by this man at DNC would be great for him. Who's, I think, he's rejuvenated his career, Mr. Ryan Lutz. And
Max Roach, somehow this guy is again one of the best in America.
he is. It's just his attitude, dude. It's just his attitude. He doesn't give up.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I talked to Lutz a lot about when we was at SIC, his like nutrition and rest and all that type of stuff. So these guys are starting to focus more on, he says he's doing that to work on his diet and all that stuff to work on his focus. He says in the qualifiers, he's fine. He says in these 30-minute mains, he loses focus fast. So I guess it's something that I lose focus too, as I'm older than all these guys. But you know what? I would absolutely love for Ryan Lutz to win this. I think that would be like such the Cinderella story. You know, this man came from possibly not being in RC a few years ago, going through those trials and tribulations with different brands, going to Kyosho. You know, and Kyosho was pretty much stagnant on the 8 scale side of things in the USA, growing that brand, being a big part of that. Now I see Kyosho's at every race, you know, or more. Before it was like once in a while. He's fucking, I'm swearing he's a religious man, but he's in his almost 40. He's got 3 kids at home, 4, maybe 4. He might have 4, I don't know. This man just seems to be able to do it. I like Ryan Lutz. I like him a lot.
The thing is, I was talking with Ryan Lutz not too long ago about this exact thing. I asked him on a world stage, do you have what it takes to win? And he said no. But on this type of track, where again, he himself said, I'm a very reactive driver. I'm very good when the track gets very bumpy. I'm very good when the track gets very unpredictable. I think he can do very well at this race because it's not just the car and his actual driving style, it's his mental that's back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I have to also think that the invisible speed has helped him out quite a lot. Oh, he's learned a lot with that. And Joseph has been helping him. Joseph will be there, but you know, it's going to be interesting to see. He had a bad run at, like you said, he had a bad run at the TNR. Let's look at some of his DNC results. 13th in 2019, 19th, 13th, 10th, 7th in 2024. I think if Lutzen got a top 3, that's a win for him on those raw speed tires.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I would love to see Ryan Lutz in the top 3 or win. All right, let's go into this guy, Spencer. Did you have anything to say about Ryan Lutz before we moved on, Max?
I mean, not really. I mean, thought the conversation about focus was really interesting. Because especially with like older guys, I think that's kind of the big issue, that it's hard to focus. I think that's Lutz's definite weak point, that he can get those TQ runs, he can be fast and qualified, but the mains are going to be tough. Guys like Maifield and Phend and Canas, they have like this incredible like tenacity to keep up the pace and go at the very highest level. I don't know how they do it, but they are really good at that. And I think that's what Lutz is. That's why I think I agree. Like, I don't think he's going to win, but a 3rd, 2nd, even a top 5 is positive. But I think a podium would be incredible for him.
Yeah, I think so. All right, let's move on. Spencer Rivkin. I have faith in Spencer. You have 0. Max goes, where is this guy in terms of 8 skill? Jesus, Max, so savage. Now, I did talk to Spencer at trackside, and his primary focus is 10 scale. He wants to win the worlds, right?
Man is in another place of existence right now. He just needs that 10 skill win.
So you were very hard on him last year about his results. I was watching that Silver State race, and he was in 3rd for the longest while until that unfortunate accident broke his shock. He did not have a good worlds. He did not show up to SIC. He hasn't been 2 years in a row. He had a decent showing at FTC and TNR. But yeah, he had forfeit last year at the that's not bad, but he wants to win.
That's Yeah, I mean that's kind of the tough thing about Rivkin, that he like when he goes to some of these race time races, he's like nowhere, like he's barely making the A. Then he goes into like TNR. I think was it last year, beginning of last year. Um, that's where he beats Mayfield and like absolutely dominates. He's really fast. Goes on to DNC, finishes 4th, and then we go to the Worlds at the end of the year. I think he qualified at like 1/8, maybe the quarters at the best. It's tough, like, to put him anywhere, and I think like the ugly truth right now is that he cares about 10 scale. He wants to win a third world title. Probably wants to win the 4-wheel drive as well because he already has the 2-wheel drive title. That's his goal for the year. I don't think he's gonna go into the DNC with a lot of pressure. He's just gonna go there, have fun. If it goes well, it goes well. This year's goal is 10 scale worlds. But the thing about him is like he's finished 4th twice in this race. He's usually in the main. He could be capable of much more, but I don't think he has the 8 scale program together to actually be considered a winning guy consistently. At times, for sure. But consistently, I've never seen that from him. At least not since the beginning of, I think it was SIC in 2022. That's when they came out with the new, after that, they came out with the new associated. Now they actually moved back to the front end that they ran back then.
More KPI.
So could not, yeah, more KPI. So maybe, because then he looked good. Then he had multiple podiums in a row. He could actually challenge Mayfield in terms of pace. But I don't know. It's tough. I don't think it's gonna happen this year, but I can see Rivkin being one of the best, like Phend in 8 scale. I can see that happening, but not like this. It has to, something has to change.
All right. Are we done? Do you want to move on to the Iceman Mason Fuller?
Yeah, I'm done with
All right. So this is going to be a hard pill to swallow. A hard pill to swallow. Max asks the question: has he lived up to the hype?
Is that a no? I'm guessing that's a no.
Not my expectations. I expected him to have a big Nitro win by this time, and he hasn't got it yet. Now I have my thoughts on that. He's had a lot of flame outs lately. He had a flame out at that FTC race. I was watching earlier. He had a flame out at SIC. So something is funky there. They got to get that fixed. Hopefully they get it fixed. I see no reason why he can't win this race. I see no reason why Mason Fuller can't win it. But he has to go out there and win this race, right? He got an 8th. Last year's best result was 2022, a 6th. So I don't know. I actually agree. He has the speed, but is he going to be able to capitalize on it? I'm not losing faith in the Iceman. I still have lots of faith in him. I still believe he can win it. Out of all these young guys, out of these young guys, I think he can win it. But he just has to go do it.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with what you said. I don't remember if we referenced this on previous podcasts, but I think like the hype that we had around him when he joined HB, like when he won that e-buggy race with TLR, and then he joined HB, and then he joined S-Works, and all those really good podiums, fast runs, winning Super Bowl at AMS in 2023, I think. All of those things, like, I was always expecting, like, okay, now he's gonna win. Now he's gonna win. Now he's gonna have a good run of results. But it never is
Never
that.
come.
He's always
Never come.
It's like there's always something that happens, and he always ends up finishing like it's like, oh, he had a good climb up through the pack into 4th. Sure, when it happens once, it's fine, but it seems to happen every race now that he starts in the back or crashes in the beginning or bumps up for the B, which happens at times, and then he's like, oh well, he had a good main, he ended up finishing 4th. Is that a good main for a guy that's supposed to be the top S-Works guy in America? Yeah, I don't think it is. At the Worlds, he did what he's really supposed to at that level. He was the second American to put it in the main. He did well. He was the guy he should be, the top S-Works, a guy in America, the top level of Americans, because Maifield like fluked there. And like he should be in the top 3 of Americans. But when you look at his results over last year, he doesn't look like he's top 3.
I have to agree with you. there. Your thoughts, Roach, and then we can move on.
It's
I
pretty
have
much,
to agree with you 100%, Max, on that.
pretty much the same because I'm like, at one point we were only, from you guys especially, we were only hearing about Mason Fuller and how good he was doing or how good he could do. And then like 2023, 2024, I just didn't hear his name ever at all. And it's just like, what am I supposed to do with that?
I don't know.
I love
don't
how-
know.
I
I
love
don't know
how
what you're supposed to do with that,
accidentally-
Roach, but you got a very nice bird there singing outside your window.
Ah, shit.
That sounds cool.
Okay.
So I think he has the skills and ability to win any race he goes to. But
yeah,
something is
that's the issue I have with him currently. That
something
he should
is
be winning, but he's not.
when he flamed on it, I'm like, something's not right. Something's not right. Something's not right. They gotta fix something there. You have Seth Van Dalen. We have to throw Brandon Rose in her. We'll talk about Brandon Rose. Let's talk about Seth freaking Van Dalen. TQ'd a round of this. I think he TQ'd in 2019, 2020.
2020.
Seth Van Dalen, I would say Seth is now a part-time pro wrestler, a semi-pro wrestler. Let me say wrestler. He works and he does this on the side. So he isn't getting to as many big races, probably not practicing as much as he should. But for a guy who doesn't do that, he's still able to make constant top 5s, top 3s at these races. And he had a very quiet, very good 2024. Like some of his results, a 3rd at PNB, 4th at Silver State, 4th at Wiki Weekend, 4th at AMS, 4th at SIC. That's good. That's what you want to see from a RC professional, those type of results. Past results at DNC, he had a 12th and a TQ, a 13th, a 17th, 34th, 24th. He is at a shitty DNC. He is due for a good DNC.
Yeah,
He is due for a good DNC.
That's why I wanted to pick him up for one of the guys we talk about, because looking at his 2024, like he is what we expect of Mason Fuller. That type of consistency. Sure, it's a line of fourths. It's not a win and a win and a win. But that type of consistency is like what I'm expecting from someone like Mason Fuller or someone like Brandon Rose, for that matter. Seth Van Dalen was there in the fight for the podium spots or even the win every single big race in 2024. Sure, he wasn't the guy who made the main at the Worlds. Sure, he wasn't there to actually win at the Nationals. But he's always there. He's always at the top. Now, when it comes to DNC, yeah, he's had a terrible run at DNCs, apart from that one miracle TQ in 2020, which he ended up DNFing at the main. But I think he's currently one of the most undervalued drivers in America. Like imagine you're like someone like Mayako, and they want a driver that could compete for wins. Are you gonna hire someone like Brandon Rose and Mason Fuller, who, yeah, Mason has been close and Brandon has won once, or a guy that's close enough every single race that it only takes one DNF for him to actually get the win, or 2 DNFs, I think like it's a safer investment for sure, a guy like Seth Van Dalen. That's what I feel currently. And that's why I think he should be hyped up a bit more. Because 2 years ago, it wasn't like this. He was the polar opposite. He was the guy who got the TQ at DNC. He was the guy who got the TQ at Silver State and finished second. But then he ended up qualifying in the B main at PNB or something. He was like that.
He's
2
a
years
lot more
ago, 2 years
consistent
ago.
now.
Yeah. So he switched up that inconsistency and high peaks, but very low lows, to always being there. And I bet you it's going to pay off for him. It's going to pay off at some point.
So it sounds like you got Seth as your dark horse going into this, Max.
I don't think he's going to win. I don't think I don't think he needs to even make the top 5. He just needs to make the fucking main because he's had a tough run at DNC.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wanted to pinpoint him at this point of the year because looking at his last year, he had an incredible run. So he should be considered much more in this conversation.
Yeah,
And that's
looking
why
at
I
his
wanted
result,
to pick him up.
looking at a
Yeah.
21st, he definitely want to make the main. Roach, your thoughts on Seth Van Dalen, and then we'll go on to Brandon Rose and a couple of these guys.
Like Max said, Stefan Dalen's always been there. At least recently, he's a lot more consistent. And I think, like Max said, it's going to pay off a lot more in this race because he's a lot more confident going into this race specifically. He's like, okay, I know I can do this. I know I can maybe not win, but I know I can compete. And I think that's a main thing that I'm going to be saying, or not just be saying about him, but also a lot of other racers like Ryan Lutz or even Horn saying, hey, I'm not in the backpack anymore. I can actually compete. Let's do this. It's that mental that is really going to help them pay off.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I
Yeah,
think that
good
is the
analysis.
defining factor of a like a winning driver versus a decent professional.
Okay, well, I agree with you, Roach. Great synopsis. Let's look at some of these guys. Brandon Rose, Philo Wing, Frankie Contreras, and you have Aiden Horn here. We're also not talking about Jared Wiggins. We haven't put in Lee Setzer possibly here. Cavallari. We got to talk about Cavallari.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Brandon Rose first. Brandon Rose, if you think about consistency, he's had a very consistent couple years too, as well. Top 5s, just on the top 5s.
Yeah.
On that new ride, I don't know how his results or how his times have been at DNC before, but I expect Brandon Rose to be in the final. I like Brandon Rose, but I don't see him being a threat to be the win, but anything can happen.
6 last year.
6. So yeah, me might want to improve on that. A top 3 for Brandon might be good. So, but a new car, we'll see how it goes. Feelong.
Yeah, so he switched to associate.
Yeah,
I
he
was like,
switched
what
to
you
associate.
fighting for?
It's such a quiet
Yeah.
switch.
Yeah.
But he'll have a huge team out there to help him out. So I
Yeah.
expect Rose to better his 6th position.
Really, I don't know. I think
It's gonna be hard.
a lot. That's a lot of people he's got to beat.
He does.
Yeah. Yeah. And to
A
be
lot
honest,
of
like
very, very, very high level, like
fast guys.
yeah.
It's not just that. It's like he'd have to beat. Okay, so do you mind if I give you my top 5 right now?
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this up in the air for the top 2. It's either Canas or Phend in the top 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got Elliot Boots in 3, Burak Killick in 4,
Wow.
and I'd probably say either Maifield or Lutz in 5.
Okay. I agree. I could see all those picks besides Burak, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, but then imagine that Rose has to beat one of those guys.
One of
Everyone
those,
else we've talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's beat
And
those guys
everyone else.
before. He's beat Fan. He's beat Maifield. He's beat those guys. He hasn't.
Sure, but at DNC.
So you guys don't think Rose is going to battle his 6th position at DNC?
I think
No
he's
way.
going to match it.
Okay. Well, matching will be good. What
Maybe.
about Feelong? Where did he finish last year?
Let's find out.
He did not go last year, right? Am I right about it? I'm pretty sure he did not go last year.
All right. Well, while you guys look up Feelong, let's look at Frankie Contreras. This is his home track. It's supposed to be faster. This is where it's really, really fast. Will we see Frankie?
He's going to be in the main. But
Yeah,
he's not
I think he's going to be in the main. But what is he going to do after the main?
Nothing.
So it's
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like that's what happens every year. It's 3 years in a row now when that's happened. He makes
did
it
not-
into the main and
Sorry,
and
if he
then
did
he's
not go
nowhere.
last year.
he
Yeah.
didn't go. I can't remember what he was doing last year.
He
Well,
came home from the FEMCA.
Oh, that's he was over in Vietnam. He was over in Vietnam. So Frankie Contreras, you think is not going to battle his position? He's got a lot of people to beat too.
Well, if you
I mean,
look
just-
at 2024,
Just making the main
he
that this
was
is going to be difficult.
13th. Yeah, and then he was in 2023, I don't even know where he was. He was in the C main. In 2022, he made the main, and then finished last in the main. So, I mean, the thing with Frankie is like he's good. He can be fast at times, but I think like he doesn't have that amount of experience racing on high level across America that he can be actually competitive when it's time for the main final. I'm very sure that he's going to be one of the guys either just making into the main or comfortably making the main, or then right at the top of B. He's not going to be like 30th after qualifying, I don't think. And yeah, that's what I think Frankie is at. I want to see him do well in the main, but it's just it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen.
Okay. You have Aiden Horner. He could do well. He could make it into the A final. Well, let's talk about the big question. Is Cavallari now running in Monaco going to make the A? Do you think him making the A final is good enough?
I think it's better than I expect, at least.
Wow.
I'm going to say the same thing, yeah.
Where did he finish last year?
Ryan Cavallari finished...
Let's find out.
Max,
I have to go so
yeah,
down.
ye of little faith in the GOAT.
Where he finished 22nd behind Cole Tollard and Seth Van Dale and Adam Drake.
So okay, he would making the main would be an improvement.
Making the main would indeed be an improvement, and that's about as much as I can say about the man.
Yeah, 2022 he finished 26th. When they was racing on the Mini Z track in 2023, he did make the main. But
he made the final at Silver State last year. That's why I was wondering. I think if he makes the final, it's a good thing for Mayaka and there's lot. I mean, what really?
I think you could like celebrate if he makes the main. I'm sorry, Ryan, but like let's say a year from now, sure he should be in the main. And if he's not, I don't really know why he would be driving as a professional anymore. But now I'm not expecting him to really make the main yet. Maybe Silver State, he has more time on the car. Joseph's had his time to help him. Because the thing is, like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the main, but the thing is that there's no guarantees that he will.
Okay. All right.
Can I make one last prediction about specifically Aiden Horn?
Yeah.
I think he might considering how he's done like this year, and remember that emotional like epiphany that he had at trackside. I think he could do better than Rivkin right now.
I don't think you're wrong, dude. I don't think.
How about Rose? Can he do better than Rivkin?
Rose maybe
better than Rivkin, yeah.
Better. I think both of them can do better than Rivkin right now in 8th scale specifically.
Wow.
And in Horn's case, I think he's doing better at least right now. He's doing better than Rivkin in 10th scale too.
At the moment,
I agree.
At the moment, so we'll see.
About Rose, I want to go back to Rose a bit because I think S-Works in these conditions are the preferred car of the two. That's my personal feeling right now. That if I wanted to go on this track, based on especially last year, I would pick an S-Works over an Associated. And I don't know, like Rose is it's a tough one. I'd pick. Like if I would have to put the AE team in order, I would go Horn, Rose, and Rivkin. Because the Silver State for Rose wasn't that impressive. You know, it was okay, but it wasn't that impressive. And I think he was really getting in terms with the S-Works, especially late last year. I don't know. I will have to see what his car looks like what type of setup he's running, like what parts he's running on his car. And I think that will tell a lot on how he's going to do. Because
also
if he runs
hot race tires as well.
Is he? I think he's on J Concepts.
No, Horn? No, he's on hot race.
Oh, Horn is on hot race. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Horn can run whatever. He's a 10 scale guy. He can run whichever setup. But like Rose, he needs to have the car in a way where he can push it comfortably. And if he has it the same way as Horn and Rivkin tend to drive it recently, he's not going to be able to do that. So that's kind of my issue here. S-Works is the type of car that if you're a professional driver, you're a talented driver, you can really go fast with it comfortably.
Okay. I guess our next question would be: is there anybody that you think? I want to kind of dice it up. Who do you think needs to make that final that won't make it?
Cav.
Cav, I'd have to agree there. Ooh,
is Battier going?
yeah, he's good.
I think
He is going.
I think, yeah, I think Robert actually could be one of those guys who I don't feel too comfortable on at this point.
You know who we skipped over? Jonah the Fish Wilson. They're not during that Sparko.
He is
in the
going, isn't he?
Sparko.
Yeah, I believe he is.
Was he here last year? I don't think
Yeah.
he went last year.
I think he went last year. I think it
Let's
might have been his
find out.
first. But I think Robert needs to make. I think Robert will want to make the main. The Fish will want to make the main. How many Europeans do you think it's going to be in the final compared to last year or Americans? I'm pretty sure that
it was 4 last year.
It was 4 last year.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Canas makes it, Boots makes it, Ronnefalk makes it. I think Figueiredo makes it, and I think it's a tough.
I think Barufalo makes it too. And
okay, so you think there's going to be more Europeans than there were last year in the final?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. How about you, Roach? More Euros in the final, more than 4 this year?
I'd say so. I'd say at least most of them will make it.
Okay. Who's your Well, Roach gave us his top 5. Did we find out?
Let's save the picks for last. I wanna freshen people's minds from the last few DNCs, because we was talking about all these racers. We have to take a look at the big picture, right?
Okay.
Because last year we did this long show of the history of DNC. I think it's 276, the show. So go take a look at it. It's going to explain all the past DNCs. But I did want to pick 3 of the last ones just to go quickly through with it. So in 2022, I only picked e-buggy and nitro buggy because that's what I think are the 2 most valuable classes. So in e-buggy, Ronnefalk won, Lutz was 2nd, Ogden was 3rd, Mason Fuller, Ryan Cavallari, Spencer Rivkin, Marco Barufalo, Jared Tebow, and Ty Tessman, and Ongaro. And then we move on to nitro buggy. It's Maifield, Bornhorst, Tessman, Phend, and Ronnefalk. So one thing that really interesting is Tessman's here. From these other names, you gotta have to look at these names. That Ryan Cavallari and Ogden are definitely not going to be there. But Fuller, Lutz, Ronnefalk, these guys have been here at the quite top end of this race in 2022, which was the last time it was in this sort of regular track configuration. And Barufalo was in the main, but Maifield ended up winning the nitro buggy in very dominating fashion with the Mugen. And then in 2023, we had the Mini Z track. Phend won in e-buggy, Canas was 2nd, Fuller was 3rd, Maifield won in nitro buggy, Phend was 2nd, and Tessman was in 3rd. This was the year where I don't know if we can really take much out of it. Not really. And then moving on to last year, this was the first time we'd moved back onto the outdoor track. And in e-buggy, as we said, we had Canas, and then Rivkin, and then Rose. So it's not like Rivkin has had bad runs at this race before. And the nitro buggy was obviously Boots, Ronnefalk, and Phend. I think this was the e-buggy race was especially chaotic. Maifield was probably at least should have had it at a 2nd. I marked here 5 S-Works, 3 Technos, 3 AE in the main in e-buggy. Then Phend was the best American last year, and he finished 3rd in nitro buggy. And this is the interesting fact that I think a lot of people can't remember from last year. if there were no Europeans at last year's DNC, Dakotah Phend would have won that race by a lap. So just have that in mind coming into this year's DNC. And then Camden Lime, Joe Barnhorst, they were really competitive. Imagine Joe Barnhorst not even in the game anymore.
Yeah, we
He
forgot
was
about
there
Camden
last year.
Lime.
Yeah. And yeah, in Nitro Buggy, it was even more dominant for S-Works. 6 S-Works, 2 Technos, and 2 AE. But that's like a quick synopsis of what we had last few years. Not really different to what we talked about, people, but just like looking at it from the big picture, that's where I'm basing my S-Works is more comfortable than AE on this track. But I think this year Kyosho is going to be the one to have one of the most. I'm pretty sure if he's going to make the main. I'm pretty sure Lutz is going to be there. I'm pretty sure Barufalo is going to be there.
Renault probably will be there too, right?
He will be at the race, but I don't think he'll be in the main.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
Let's do our. Well, I wanted to do something that I noticed. Let's get away from the results and all that type of stuff, and let's talk about the atmosphere. You know how before you used to see people like getting ready for the DNC and they'd be out there the weekend before and all that type of stuff. I have not seen that this year.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
not there.
Everybody's leaving like today, which is Sunday. You look, everybody's off to DNC. I think what's happened, I was talking about this with Mike Hill. You know how it used to be? You used to come out there for almost 2 weeks before. Go to Revelation, come out there on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the track. Sunday, getting ready for everything. Monday, Tuesday, prepping to go to setup, Tuesday, setup, all that type of stuff. Everybody's just flying in and doing the race. Nobody's doing the pre-testing, which I always thought was one of the funnest things about DNC is like you could go to a Thunder Alley, you could go to a Revelation, and there'd be Ongaro, there'd be, all these type of guys testing there as well. We don't have that this year. And I think that comes down to a few things. Like we don't have Thunder Alley right now. I don't think it's up and running. Revelations there. You can't go to Paris. You can go out to our favorite track, which is Channel Islands. So we are missing that this year. And I did say this. It's like there's been no hype about it. Like it's just DNC. And I think that's because it's been pushed back. Rightfully so for the weather. It's been pushed back into March. And there's a couple of races. There's been a plethora of races prior to this. This 2025 has gotten off to a very kick-ass season. Lots of racing. So I just kind of wanted to say that, like, I'm not going this year, and I kind of miss not going, but I also didn't want to miss this whole weekend of hanging out and, being around the tracks and being around everybody. But I think what it's come down to now with that is just cost. It's just too expensive to send them over here for 2 weeks, and then even if they came, so if you come for the extra weekend, you got to pay for that 5-6 days worth of hotel, food, gas, rental car, all that type of stuff. So we're seeing a switch, and California is not cheap.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That when we went in 2018, what did we pay? Like $60 a night at a Motel 6. Yeah. That shitty ass Motel 6 would cost probably $150 a night in this day in California. It's like incredibly expensive there. It's just economic growth.
I see that, but that's kind of, for me, that's kind of like, that was the whole part of DNC that weekend before. Right?
I know.
You remember how there used to be a hot race GP? Like Nicola used to do the hot race GP. None of that this year. And I also think that also has to do with the fact that Desert Classic is the weekend before this. And
yeah, sure.
But these guys have been on the road relentlessly since the beginning of the year as well. So interesting stuff. Just seems a little bit different this year. But I'm sure once the coverage starts, I do believe Live RC is doing all the coverage. Once that all starts and once we start getting those videos in, it's going to be DNC all over again. We're going to be excited. I'm going to be glued to them. Be like, what are you doing, Lefty? I'm just watching DNC. This is me. That's me. I'll be watching. I wish I was there. I wish I was going now. When you start seeing everybody flying, I'm like, I want to go. I think if you are a 1/8 scale radio controlled racing enthusiast, one time in your life you have to go to a Dirt Nitro challenge just to experience it. You got that, Roach?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I truly wish Scotty and whoever is gonna be there with him doing the broadcast are not gonna talk about fucking shakies, okay? I don't give a shit about your pizza. I want to see the racing, okay? When it's the D main, sure, talk about whatever. But when it's time for the top heats, please, please, I beg you guys, don't talk about the fucking shakies. I say this as the man of the people, okay? Isn't that what the pizzeria he always talks about?
I think it's a hamburger joint. All right, let's make our picks. Well, Roach, you already made yours. You had one card. We should write these down. Max,
Yeah, I'm writing these
I'm
down. So
I'm putting them in the private chat. I'm gonna put
no.
one.
No, we have electric buggy first. So let's do our e-buggy picks,
electric
nitro buggy picks separately.
Okay.
So
Electric buggy.
we start with the e-buggy.
Who wins this? I think it's going to be JC3, Phend, Maifield, Ronnefalk. One of those.
You have 3
I'd
picks.
say honestly, for e-buggy, probably Phend, honestly.
Okay, good pick. I wouldn't go wrong with that. How about you, Maxie? Oh, sorry.
do
Go
top
ahead.
3.
Go ahead, Roach.
No, I was gonna say like Juan Carlos Canas in second, and then Ronnefalk in third.
Those are good picks. Solid
Yeah.
picks.
So my picks for the e-buggy, e-buggy is tougher because it's anything can happen pretty much. But I do have to say, looking at like past results and considering like how much more serious the Europeans take the e-buggy, Ronnefalk and Canas are gonna be strong again in e-buggy like they were last year. Boots, I don't know about Boots. Like he should be there, but he really wasn't last year. Kiddich was really strong at
Pick
AMS.
your 3. Pick your 3.
Okay.
Your 3.
Okay,
Let's
I'm
go.
gonna go radical. I'm gonna go Canas, Kilich, and then I'm gonna go for Horn in third.
Whoa.
How do you like them beans?
That's
That's
stepping out on limbs right there. Limbs. I like that.
I mean, considering how honestly, I forgot about Horn, but he's been, like I said before, he's got the mental back. He's got the mental back, and he's got the tools. He's got the tires, like Max said. So he could do it. I just don't see it happening over some of the other Europeans, but he could make a top 5.
He qualified second last year and finished 4th in e-buggy.
E-buggy? No, he finished
Yeah.
6th.
6th?
Last year,
Sorry.
yeah.
Well, he qualified second at least.
He qualified second, yeah.
Yeah, but that's some good picks. Let's move on. Are we doing Nitro Truggy?
Nitro buggy. We don't do truggy here, okay? The
Well, me and
doesn't-
Roach will do Truggy.
No. You can do it.
I
off
don't
the
have a
foot.
Truggy anymore. I don't have a
Yeah.
Truggy anymore.
Max is
Keenan,
such a Truggy hater.
now that Roar combined the classes, we're gonna officially call Truggy the filler class. Okay? That's decided now. It's official.
Well, let's get on to our Nitro Buggy picks. You go first, Max.
Oh, we go in opposite order.
Yeah, we're
also
just going in any
prepared.
order.
I'm gonna say, I have to say this, that I think Phend, he has to
Really?
he has the mileage. He looked so strong so far. I think Phend is gonna go well in Nitro Buggy. And second, this is a much more tough one, but I'm gonna say Canas. And then third, I'm gonna go with I mean, I don't say it's a sleeper pick, but I mean lots. I think this
Okay.
is the logical top 3 here.
All right, go ahead, Roach.
Honestly, you just kind of copied it, but instead of putting Canas, I'd put Boots there.
Mm.
So
I'm
Phend,
banking
JC3,
on something. No. I'm putting Phend, Boots, Lutz.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
doing
So
that
you're
just for the.
you're
I'm banking on something going mishap with Canas, basically.
Yeah, you're rooting for a DNC. But
He can break. He can break. All right, I'm gonna get a pick. Man, this is a hard one to call because, but I have to say right now the man's on form, and he's the one guy I'm seeing negate that fuel mileage that Phend gets, and that's JC3. I think Canas takes the win. I think Phend's in second. Ronnefalk third.
all right. I mean,
Right.
I think
Now-
my Kilich in e-buggy is probably the riskiest of all of these.
It is very risky. Very risky.
Let's see how it
Me
goes.
getting
Yeah.
putting Lutz. Well, I guess I would say I was talking with Lutz. He does have a new engine that supposedly can make 10 minutes easily. But and I'm pretty sure he'll be running it there. But we'll see how it goes.
We shall see. How about your dark? Let's get your dark horse, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
But it has to be like a dark horse, you know?
My dark horse is Aiden Horn.
But I don't think that's so dark.
I mean,
I don't know if I have one.
Are we telling the dark horse to take the win?
Oh
I'd
yeah,
say-
let's do dark horse for the win. Let's do dark
That's
horse
what we
for the
do.
win.
Dark horse for the win.
dark horse for the win. Okay, dark horse for the win would be Boots for me. Like I said before.
Okay,
How is that a dark horse?
that's like
That's the level we're working with right now.
like you know that horse is so dark that it like
It blinded
makes my
me.
eyes hurt. Yeah.
Go ahead, Max. Use your dark horse.
Baruffalo by easily.
You know who my dark horse is to take the win? Bora.
Okay. All right, we have our picks.
We have our picks well written out. You know,
I'll have them saved and
you know
see how
what?
it goes.
We want to see you guys picks. Give us your top 3 for e-buggy and nitro buggy in the comments below of this podcast. And
One day we'll have a fantasy league for RC too.
I know it's just so much work. So much work. I think we're on tap. It looks like we're going to have a little bit of rainy weather on the Thursday, but that will be good for the rest of the weekend. I think it's going to be a great weekend out there, and it's going to be interesting to see. I'll be watching. I will be watching. Maybe we might even do some, depends on how I feel. Might be some short shows in there, some short recaps. We'll see. Roach, will you be watching, or will you be doing RC?
On Sunday I'll definitely be watching because that's Pro Nitro buggy.
Yep. Roach is allergic to nitro buggy, but he's gonna be watching Pro Nitro.
I'm gonna be I can watch it from a safe distance, but I can't be near it because then my face breaks out. You've seen this happen before.
He is literally allergic to nitro. Literally,
Yeah.
his friend.
Man starts crying.
No,
you
his
get
face
to-
breaks
I
out and
think
these little
My face
marks.
breaks out. Like I get like
does.
bumps and stuff like that, like shaving bumps, basically.
what the fuck?
Dude, yeah. just don't. It's Roach. Don't ask me.
Don't
Just don't ask.
worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It just is what it is. I think it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it. We hope you guys will enjoy it. All the coverage will be on Live RC. I'm sure it'll be on their YouTube, Facebook, and of course on Live RC. And when we get back, hopefully JQ has a very interesting report. We should do a 50-50. All right, let's before we finish this up, what's the percentage that JQ gets in trouble at this race?
At least
I think it's.
I think 60% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, I mean,
Because he always
there's
does
gonna
something,
be something.
something
yeah.
at a DNC.
Something's gonna happen.
I spoke to
Should we
Pecco.
guess? Should we guess what it would be?
Well, I spoke to Pecco and I was like, look, just make sure he goes to the trailer every night. But we're saying at the track, I said exactly where all the problems started last time he was there.
Yeah.
Just keep him inside. Don't let him go outside. Make sure, but who knows? Every time JQ goes to DNC, there's some issue. We should know, right, Max? We were involved in one of the biggest ones. You know what I feel like playing? I feel like playing this old school DNC video of the stickers on the van. Have you ever seen that, Roach?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
Yeah.
I should play it just so you can see it. And we'll finish off this podcast. You know what?
Yeah.
I think that's
Let's
it for our
shout out
podcast.
sponsors first.
Yeah, that's a big Thank you for all of the support. I hope you guys enjoyed this supposed to be brief DNC recap, but we kind of went in depth on a lot of these racers. Really good insight from Roach and Max. A big shout out to all the NNRC squad around the world. We can't do this without you guys. Thank you for the support. A big shout out to the patrons of the NNRC. And a big shout out to our sponsors and companies that make this possible. We have a few spots left on the long-term sponsor plan, and we have some short-term stuff that we want to do. So if you're a small company looking to promote your brand, or a number of, or big company, big or small company, you want to promote your brand to the optimum on this podcast, hit us up. We got plans for everything. Go over to Roach's RC's channel, hit that like, sub, and notification button. Help him get to 10,000 subs, as well as his Patreon.
1,000 away.
How much?
We are actually not only 1,000, we're 950 away.
Awesome news. Awesome news. All right. I think we're going to end it with that. A big shout out to J Concepts, High Tech RC, Sidewinder Fuels, Latara Racing, Invisible Speed, ML Toys, Side Piece Racing, Hot Race Tires, Elite RC Productions, RC Project, Mayako, Techno RC, Beach RC, Racecraft USA, and Clinic RC. We have in the written description, we have links for all those companies. Sometimes some you have some coupon codes, some you don't. But just let them know that you heard about it on the No Name RC podcast. Should we end it on the infamous DNC video of the
I'd like to see it.
You like to see it? You never seen it? You know what? From Max, Lefty, and Roach, we're out. We're gonna play this video. It's about 2 minutes long, and we'll see you all, I don't know, at the after DNC after show.
Hey Joseph, come here. Check this out. Come on, let's check it out. What now? What the hell is this? I told Joey not to put stickers on my shit. The Dirt making jumps since 1999. This is my property, man. What the hell is this guy? This is just unacceptable. Unacceptable. Jesus Christ. Come check this out. There's more? Oh. Look at that. Jesus Christ. Jesus loves JQ. Somebody loves you. Wasn't Kyosho pitting over here? What's Tebow here? This looks like Tessman's handwriting, though. That kind of looks like Tessman, man. I don't know. I'm not accusing anyone. Is this permanent? It's not going to come off, is it? No. But come check this out. This was pretty sneaky. I like this one. The indie guys got you. This. Can you believe how many tags there are? Oh my God. Boom! I love arse erasing. Listen, boys. There's a Dirt logo on here, too. Can you see that? We need to document this. This is unacceptable, completely unacceptable. This is a really expensive race, man. They're messing with it. This is my property. These sponsors pay money to be on here, and then the Dirt just sticks their goddamn stickers everywhere on it. And Tebow or Tessman or whoever, one of those Jesus lovers, trying to spread the word. Unacceptable. Jesus.